Well, went a lot of work into the 4th edition of the Journeys to Treasury, and it's all started with the survey taken by the European Association of Corporate Treasurers, taken by the treasurers, and they gave answer to the question: what does your treasury, what influences your treasury most in the coming years? So that was the first part where we took information. Second part was on the PricewaterhouseCoopers, the PwC survey, again amongst corporate treasurers. And we participated to a global partner meeting where we could include the opinions of corporate treasurers from APAC and the US, and that brought together the subjects we have chosen for this year's edition.
This year's Journeys to Treasury, which is our 4th edition of the publication, is a very special one, and for 3 reasons. One, it is really a global publication. It covers all regions, and particularly the most dynamic region, which is the Asia Pacific region, is well represented in this year's publication. Number 2, it is a very, very neutral view of the industry. So there's no bias in there. It clearly talks about the priorities of what's out there for corporate treasurers and for the industry, and it is a very, very neutral publication. Number 3, it represents views from all stakeholders of the industry, not just the banks, but also accounting firms, also technology companies, also the Association of Corporate Treasurers of Europe. So I think it is a very, very balanced publication, cross geographies, across functions, and a very good reflection of the industry view.
This year's report findings comprise payments and collections, and for payments and collections it's all about traceability, about new ways of payments and speed. And so we explain in the report how corporate treasurers can benefit from these new developments. The second finding is on FX management, which with the increased volatility of FX has brought new risks to the corporate cash managers and corporate treasurers. And with using new techniques, for instance with FX hedging, we can help them mitigating these risks. On the third one, it is about the new technologies, lifting the barriers for using those new technologies, and data integrity. I think those are the 2 key elements of that subject. And the last one is on the future of Treasury, where we have combined technology with human input as that's really required for the digital transformation.
So there were 4 basic findings in this year's publication of the Journeys to Treasury. Out of that, 2 really appealed to me. One is the payments and collections area. Why? Because this is the most changing and rapidly developing area in the Asia Pacific region. 8 out of 12 central banks are changing from batch payments to electronic. Companies are looking at implementing e-commerce platforms, which requires a completely different ecosystem in the way payments and collections are produced. So I think this is a very, very relevant topic for Asia Pacific region. Number 2 is on the foreign exchange side. We have a very diverse set of currencies in Asia Pacific that we manage. We have some very developed currencies like the Hong Kong dollar, Sing dollars, Japanese yen, Australian dollars, but at the same time we have a lot of emerging currencies which are volatile. So I think clearly from an FX management and risk management perspective, it's one of the top priorities for our corporate treasurers in the Asia Pacific region. The coexistence of the physical world and the digital world, I think, is going to be the key mantra for the 4th generation of industrial evolution. I think the man and machine combination is becoming ever important today, and it is coming fast and furious in our finance and treasury world. So faster we react to it, the faster we adapt to it, the better it is, as you know, for us to get more efficient. I think where the machine will play a big role is in automating operational processes. Mundane processes, day-to-day activities will become operational on the machine, and where the man and the woman and the human being will play a role is really in policy setting, in setting the directions and setting the parameters in a machine, because the machine will do what a human will program it to do.
So there are two case studies which really stand out in this year's edition. The first one I would mention is SSAB, who has gone through a digital transformation and really used change management techniques to get the whole company ready and shift their minds into applying but also embracing, I would say, these digital technologies. And the second one is Suetis, who is one of our ambassadors for the Treasury Board, where we co-create but also design, co-create and implement new ideas, and in this case particularly on data analytics and cashboard.
There are three things driving digitalization of payments in Asia. One is the regulators. 8 out of the 12 regulators in Asia are driving real-time payments. It is really driven by them, and they're making it mandatory for a few reasons. One, elimination of paper is super important in Asia Pacific. Improving from batch to electronic to real-time is another big agenda because consumers want it. So there's one agenda which is from the regulators. Second, there's a lot of proliferation and emergence of PSPs, payment service providers, and the ecosystems provided by the central banks provides a growth environment for them. So that's driving growth of alternate payment channels in Asia Pacific. Thirdly is the consumer behavior, and I think that's the most important one, because the adaptability of new technology, adaptability of mobile. There are mobile phones now available in the remotest parts of China, remotest parts of India, and clearly the smartphone advent is something we cannot underestimate, and that is really driving consumer behavior to adopt new technology, new payments.
To automate the FX workflow and is one of the more difficult things in the FX management, I would say. It all starts with good cash flow forecasting and knowing your exposures. So there we get back to the data integrity and the data assemblance, all things. Then once you have that information and you know about your exposures, you can start hedging that. And of course that's in many corporates a manual process, and so it's about the accuracy of the data, and then making sure that you can do the right hedge to reduce your FX exposure. And our recent partnership together with Cantox helps customers by doing exactly that. So they allow for micro hedging, and they do also the hedge accounting at the end. So they provide the ledger entries. So it automates the whole process of FX hedging, and it allows for a better and more accurate way of mitigating your risk. To prepare for the future, you need to find the right partners because it's all about collaboration in these days. And there are many initiatives, collaborative initiatives in which a treasury can participate. So there are also the national associations and the European Association of Corporate Treasurers, who organizes things to collaborate and bring together the different parties for the future. But I think the best thing a corporate treasurer can do is hire a tech-savvy payment specialist in their team.